turn me down a bit. That's a bit better. There's the skin tone back. Brilliant. Now I've just realised that I didn't plug the mic in for this video properly. You've still got audio, you just didn't have as crisp audio as you'd usually get. Apologies. Alright lads, welcome back to another video. Now this one, don't think it'll be the most cheery of ones, but it's going to be about my driving test. Of course, yesterday in the video that you saw, you would have seen that I mentioned that my driving test was going to be the day. Now, it doesn't take a person with horrendous amounts of IQ to be able to figure out that I haven't passed my driving test. What happened was, the first major that I did was my fault, right? Completely my fault. Came out, turned left at a roundabout junction, came off on the first turn in, and he asked me to take up in the right hand lane when it was safe to do so. So I was checking the right hand mirror, there was a car approaching from behind in the right hand lane, so I was looking to check when he was going to start speeding up to perhaps overtake me, and it wasn't in my head a safe time to do so, a safe time to take up the right hand lane, when he was, like, our car was here and his car was just kinda behind us, so I didn't want to take up the right hand lane at that point in case that would have got me a fail because I could have perhaps obstructed his lane. But as I was looking in the right hand mirror, I was just looking in the right hand mirror and I didn't look back to check my road position at the same time, and because I was doing that in the right hand mirror, I felt like my hands were straight on the wheel, but clearly my hands must have just slightly started veering to the left a bit, and as I wasn't looking back the way, I couldn't change that. As I said, I was just looking in the right hand mirror, and basically the car started going back towards the left, and because I was in the left hand lane, it was the closest to the curb, and it would have ended up hitting the curb, and at the end of the day, the guy that was taking the test had to put his hand on the wheel to avoid hitting the curb on the left. It was my fault because I should have been keeping my observations more aware. I should have been looking to the right hand mirror to check when the driver was either going to go ahead of me or letting me into that lane, and I should have been looking back to check my road position as well. Despite the fact I felt like my hands were straight, that's why I didn't look back, but I should have been doing it subconsciously anyway, just because you always need to make sure with these things on the road. So that was the major that ended up really starting off the fail aspect of this test. I then obviously pretty much started crying in the test. Not crying as in like, oh my god, but I did start getting quite upset and just feeling really down about myself, knowing that I'd let myself down and I had to go back and tell everyone that I'd failed and stuff like that. I hate the feeling of failure. I've had it with job interviews where I've went and thought, I've done quite well in this interview, etc, etc, I feel like I could get it, and then I've not got the job, and it's just that kind of heart-wrenching feeling where it's like down in the dumps type stuff. And I apologised to the guy that was giving me the test, and he was very nice, to be fair to him. He wasn't like some of the people that you hear about that aren't the most nice driving test people, but he was a very nice guy and was completely understanding of my kind of situation. Before I made that fault that obviously I knew I was going to fail afterwards, I was driving pretty well up until that point. I'd done an emergency stop, I'd parked at the side of the road and reversed 2 car lengths, did that manoeuvre fine, moved off, did driving in and around the wee town that we were in, and that was all good. It was up until the fault point that obviously I then made that fault, and that was that. After the first fault, I drove on, and obviously I was getting a wee bit upset and stuff, just because I knew in my head that I'd failed anyway, and we went round a roundabout, did all that fine. Then eventually got to this roundabout where you were taking a left to go towards Falkirk, and you came up on this road, and it was a big roundabout, one of the bigger roundabouts, and you came up on the left hand lane to obviously go left, you were indicating left, and you look round the roundabout obviously to see if anything's coming round. So I was focusing on that, and also I'd looked back, and there was a lassie that was doing a test at the exact same time as me, and we did the exact same route. She was in front of me, this exact same learner driver that was doing her test was in front of me at this roundabout junction, going the same way as well. So there was her car and a car in front of her, and I believe the car in front of her moved off and took the road on the left to go towards Falkirk, and she was indicating the same way. She started to move her car as I was behind her. She started to move her car to go, obviously. So then I made a final check to the right just to check if anyone was coming around the roundabout, so that I had to stop for it. And when I was looking to the right to see if any cars were coming around the roundabout, the guy that took my test said that her instructor must have stopped the car because he must have felt that the car coming around the roundabout was perhaps coming at too fast a pace or whatever. So her instructor stopped the car, which then meant my instructor had to stop my car because I felt like they had started going and then she got stopped, so then I had to get stopped. So that was a second fault for me. I'm more frustrated with the first one, if I'm being honest, because that is 100% my fault. The second one, it was my fault because I should have just had my observations a bit more on and looked back, and if I'd known, I would have obviously stopped the car if I'd saw her stopping. It was only because I was making that final check that I didn't see her car stop. But the second fault was more my fault, but because of her fault. So I'm not going to beat myself too much about the fact that I've got two major faults, because the first one was really the one that was my fault entirely. It's just stuff that I need to mop up on. At the end of the day, I've done over 25 lessons, verging on 30, and I know I can drive. The guy that took me knew that I could drive as well, because I did everything else fine as well, and my driving instructor knows I can drive as well, because she wouldn't have put me in for a test if I couldn't drive. So I'm very confident that I can eventually get that pass, and everyone has been saying to me so far, online, in person, etc., that it's a very low chance that you're going to actually pass first time anyway. I think the percentage is around about 30-40% pass completion on the first attempt. I took 3 attempts to do my theory test, so I know that it's not going to be as easy as jump in the car first time and get it done first time, but I did feel like I was ready to pass the test. I didn't want to have to fork out for more driving lessons and driving tests, etc., because it's a lot of money to be spending, but it's just part and parcel of it. You have to do it, and it is a learning curve. At the end of the day, I'll now be more switched on to my observations and stuff like that, just so I can make sure that nothing like this will ever happen again. I've got the mindset to just go again now, and hopefully it just won't be the case that I'll be coming back here having to talk about another driving test fail, because I've had a lot of wee mini failures in my life that, whilst they haven't meant a lot in the grand scheme of things, it would have been nice to get a couple of like nice wee boosts every now and then, and this would have been a really good one, because everything's going brilliant now, and that's mainly why my mindset is quite good at the moment. I'm not like beating myself up about it as much as I have in previous things, but because life was going so well, I just wanted to keep going with the nice stuff, and I wanted to just pass this, get my car going, and start going to football games, start being able to just drive myself about, etc, etc, because I know I can drive, and that's the mindset that I need to go with. I know I can drive, I know I'm good enough to be able to pass my test, and I just need to go, do a couple more lessons, book the test next time, and hope for the best that I can clean out all those wee mini errors that I made. Hopefully it's not a case of I need to wait 6 weeks or something for the next test. Hopefully I can get lucky and book one and get it in a couple of weeks' time, so I don't need to spend as much money, and then I can just go into it with a positive mindset and learn from these experiences, mistakes, etc, and go again. So that's it for this video, guys. Cheers for watching. Hopefully it's been a wee kind of nice thing for you to be able to listen to as well, because I assume a lot of you will be going into this sort of time in your lives where you do need to start driving lessons, etc, so you can hear it from a person that is roughly around the same age as you and is going through the same things and the same experiences that you may end up going through, so that you can perhaps learn from it. Like the video if you did enjoy it, or like the video if you found it a wee bit informative. Comment down below anything you wish, and subscribe for more of this type of content. And until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers, guys.